So I will proceed towards our second speaker of the day. Our second speaker for the day is Marcelo Vieira from Brazil. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. Marcelo is a professional business mentor, sales coach, business development consultant, business and sales professor, entrepreneur and speaker, mentor in BNI RJ Millennium and BNI RJ Ambassador. He's a public image director in Rotary Club RJ, and he is RJ coordinator for Global Education Leaders. We welcome you once again, and we're all here to listen to your thoughts on this day. Welcome, and the floor is all yours, Marcelo, for now. Over to you.
Thank you, Malka, and you pronounced it properly, my name. Thank you a lot. And congratulations, because not so easy. It's an Italian kind of name that is very common here in Brazil. I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for everyone in this room and everyone gonna see us sometimes. And first of all, I would like to thank you, Global Edu-Leaders, to give me this opportunity to talk a little bit about new business in this post-pandemic scenario. I will share my presentation here for you too, and I hope everyone is seeing now. It will seem that I will put everything again Mark presented me, but this slide here I'm using only to cope with the aim of the presentation. The name of the presentation is Development of New Businesses. So here is part of my job description, let's say like that, to see that I am very connected with the innovation and entrepreneurship technology ecosystem here in Brazil and abroad. And to see that to be connected and to develop new businesses in this post-pandemic and chaotic scenario we are unfortunately living yet, we have to focus on positive mindset. And mainly is what I'm gonna talk to you now about positive mindset. Here in Brazil, and I believe some other countries around the world, we have a kind of popular knowledge that say that you have a glass with half of the volume full. You have to focus on the half full, not of the half empty part of the glass. You have to have only focus in what you can manage. Focus on only what you can do better, because you don't have better conditions to do even better. So I will be a little bit more, how can I say, shyer than Professor Sang, and I will use only 2 slides. But the second slide is, I believe, is enough for us to understand what I am trying to say today. People, when face a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges as we are facing all around the globe, they always are pressed to be negative. But here I will put Brazil as the perspective of the world, and I will focus only on Brazilian good number for this year. People around the world say that the economy is crashing, but fortunately here our gross national product is about $1.46 trillion, which is very good for us because we are facing a 2.8% of increase in the end of this year, even with lots of political problems, even with a a pandemic that we have never experienced before, even with a lot of losses. Here we're gonna have a 2.8% increase in our GNP. Our trade balance is positive in more than $50 billion. People is very accustomed nowadays to turn on the TVs and put the news on the iPads, on the iPhones, on their smartphones, and focus on very bad and sad news. But here, for example, you can focus on the news that we lost more than 500,000 people by COVID-19. But here, I would like to say you that more than 20 million people recovered by COVID-19. So we are much more successful in coping COVID-19 than losing people. I want to say that with this speech, I'm not disconsidering the very serious and sad fact that we are losing lots of people in this scenario. Instead of this, I want to pay attention and to invite all of you to pay attention also to that we are much more powerful to get out of this crisis with a positive mindset, focusing on positive things, seeing the best side of everything and every situation, than to focus on what we are suffering, what we are losing, what we are breaking, what we are facing negatively. Even in this scenario, only in this first semester, 1.5 million new job positions were created here in Brazil. And unfortunately for us, Brazilians, we are facing a very tough political situation. Our political scenario is not good for us. Why? Because we here are losing the power, we are losing the responsibility to dialogue. We are facing a dichotomy. You are divided in two, in a scenario, in a time that you should be only one, facing everything together towards a better scenario for here our Brazilians and for the whole world. We should be all in the same page, and unfortunately in our political side here in Brazil we are not acting like that. But I do believe that if we take this positive mindset for each one of us and understand that together you can do much better than one each other alone, you're gonna put Brazil and any other country around the world, around the globe, for the best path for everyone. And if we don't think as a globe united, you only be part of something that not have success in the future. So I will end now to put our event here on time and on the schedule, asking for everyone to always, even if the scenario is not good at that time, but always try to see, try not, because when we try, we have the opportunity not to achieve. We can fail, but do see everything with a positive mindset, focusing in what you can do better without the best conditions to do even better. I would like to thank you a lot, everyone, for this opportunity, and I hope that this event can impact positively everyone here in Brazil, Thailand, India, China, and everywhere. Thank you, Beatriz. Thank you, Mr. Singh, for this opportunity, and have a great event for everyone.
Thank you so much, Marcelo, for really sharing with us in very short, having a positive mindset at during this time. It's really, really very important when we talk about other aspects and all the difficulties that we are facing in life. All we can do is we can battle out all the odds if we have a positive mindset. Thank you so much for throwing light on this wonderful topic, which is much the need of the hour. Thank you so much for being here with us. So I proceed further to our next speaker of the day, Mr. Sandeep Kumar Gupta. Mr. Sandeep Kumar Gupta is a PhD, professor and a vice chairman, Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development Cell, Department of Management, IIMT College of Engineering, APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Greater Noida, India, from 11th of January 2021, and he's still working there. He takes care of teaching part in the managerial economics, organization behavior, and principles of management and MBA students. Of course, the profile is very, very long, but I would put an into right here, and I would take the opportunity to invite Mr. Sandeep Kumar Gupta, who's joined us here. Sir, the floor is all yours. Is Sandeep sir amongst us?
No, he's not on the room yet.
All right.
So I would tell you to call our friend Professor Luis Miguel Cardoso is the next in the sequence, please.
Yes. Well, the next speaker we have is Professor Dr. Luis Miguel Cardoso. Right. Pardon me, please. Okay, in case I'm not very well with your, pronouncing your names, right? And the search topic would be reimagining education in post-pandemic world, right? So actually, the coronavirus pandemic has seriously upended the education system, along with the shift from classrooms to computer screens. Almost all aspects of learning are being tested. I wouldn't talk further. I would let Sir to complete it, but before I proceed further, I would just like to share a little bit about Professor Dr. Lewis. He holds a PhD in modern languages and literatures in the specialty of comparative literature from the Faculty of Letters of the University of Coimbra. He was the Dean of the School of Education and Social Sciences between 2010 to 2018 and a Deputy Director of the Masters in Media and Society. He was the president of ARIPESE, Association of Reflection and Intervention in the Educational Policy of Higher Education Schools in Portugal. He is a researcher at the Center of Comparative Studies at the University of Lisbon. So we welcome you to this conference, and the floor is all yours. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Greetings from Portugal. So good morning to Brazil, good afternoon from Portugal, good evening to our colleagues in India. I would like to thank the organizing committee for the kind invitation. So thank you, Professor Beatriz. Thank you, Mr. Singh, for inviting me here. It's a huge pleasure and a great honor to be here. And I would like to wish all the success for this great endeavor of yours. It is absolutely marvelous to know that two countries that are far in geography, Brazil and India, are now connected with one single heart, one single mind, and one single goal. So this is an excellent example to work together, to networking, because networking is the key to solve our global problems. And that is one of the most important lessons that we have learned from the COVID-19 crisis. We must work together. Isolated, we are only an island. And if we are only an island, we are alone. So we must be together, we must work together. This is an excellent example of networking. So congratulations to Professor Beatriz, to Mr. Singh, congratulations to this organization, and all the best for this great endeavor. So, my dear friends, I would like to share some ideas about what are some of the most important lessons that we have learned from the COVID-19 crisis, and what are now some current trends in the new educational system worldwide, namely in Europe, in Portugal, but of course that are affecting different countries. So our main question is, what are we looking ahead towards education and skills after the COVID-19? And I also share the point of view of my colleague and friend from Brazil, that we always must look at our glass that is half full. Yes, I absolutely agree with that, because we must be optimistic. And if we are here together now discussing what we can do with networking to go ahead and to build a better future for our students, for our communities, for our countries, it's a great evidence that if we are together, we can change everything we want. So, my dear colleagues and friends, I would like to highlight from a very important report from the OECD, the state of school education 1 year into the COVID pandemic. And from this report, I would like to say that during school closures, digital resources became the lifeline for education, and the pandemic pushed teachers and students to quickly adapt to teach and learn online. And this, of course, was a big change for us all. And I think we were not prepared. We were not fully prepared for such a dramatic change. So one of the lessons from this crisis is that we must give teachers teacher training, more teacher training and digital skills to go ahead and be prepared for any other event or crisis that we might find in the near future. And of course, the opportunities that digital technologies offer go well beyond a stopgap solution during the pandemic. So digital technology allows to find entirely new answers to what people learn, how people learn, where people learn, and when they learn. So our digital response is very important to lead our educational systems into a new set of goals and principles regarding hybrid teaching and learning opportunities. Then I would like to say that this is a huge transition, of course, and the transition to remote instruction and the subsequent reopening of schools, often at reduced capacity and other strict sanitary protocols, has had a profound impact on teachers' work. And teachers are true heroes during this crisis. Teachers give their hearts and their minds for their students, and they must be enhanced, they must be protected. We must give teachers all the help they need to be powerful leaders, to be educational, inspiring role models for all our students. And of course, the crisis required many of them to acquire new skills and prepare materials suited to virtual learning environments. I would also like to emphasize another challenge that was brought to us by the COVID-19 pandemic. And now regarding the economic point of view, the World Economic Forum projects that by 2022, at least 54% of all employees will need reskilling and upskilling to respond to changing work requirements. And young people need the skills to rapidly learn, adapt, practice resiliency, and take advantage of entrepreneurial mindsets to respond to this reality with the ingenuity to earn an income. So we have a lot of challenges ahead. And of course, this changing environment calls for a transformation in how we think about learning. So young people must learn to learn in order to develop the abilities required to gain new skills and adapt, which will help them secure work opportunities. They must also learn to discern reliable information to navigate today's information landscape fraught with false and misleading information. This is very important for our students, most of all for our younger students. And of course, employers have changed their options, and we must act accordingly to those changes. So employers overwhelmingly agree that young employees need soft skills, such as communication and creative problem solving and entrepreneurial thinking. International development practitioners offer soft skill curricula to support youth in education and non-formal training programs, but lack two crucial competencies for youth today. So let us compare what we had in 2015 and what we have in 2020. So in 2015, the top 10 skills began with complex problem solving. In 2020, we have the same number one skill, complex problem solving. But when we match the skills, the top 10 skills in 2015 and in 2020, we see a lot of changes. So in 2020, now we need critical thinking, we need creativity, we need people management, coordinating with others, we need emotional intelligence, most important, judgment and decision-making, service orientation, negotiation, and cognitive flexibility. And emotional intelligence and cognitive flexibility are new top skills that are needed that we must provide our students with. So as you can see, by comparing this data, quality control and active listening are no longer top 10 skills and are now substituted with others. So I think that higher education has now to look at curricula that we have and start initiating a huge process of adaptability to these top 10 skills that were highlighted in 2020 and that we must implement in 2021 and in 2022. So of course, this is the new skills gap for young people in the age of COVID-19. So skill number one that I think we all agree is that we all have to learn. So to participate and thrive in a rapidly evolving world, youth must become power learners. So learning to learn is one of the most important lessons that we have learned from the COVID-19. Then we must realize that when it comes to learning performance, 40% is due to metacognition. So this means organizing and guiding one's own learning processes, thinking and actions, but most teaching methods do not prioritize these skills, as myths persist that learning relies on innate intelligence rather than on developing skills and habits. So this is something that has to change also. And skill number two is learn to discern. So in a flood of information that we all have today, youth must discern what is factual and reliable. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, young people are weighing information, including misleading information about health risks, to make decisions about their careers. So we must give our students the proper tools and the proper skills so that they can understand that all information must be true, must be objective, and must be reliable. We also have to highlight that we have 4 skills that can make the world better after COVID-19 from the World Economic Forum report. So skill number 1 is futures literacy. So in general terms, literacy is simply the ability to read and write, although it may be intended with a broader and more insightful meaning. So today, our society is changing rapidly. So what we need to do is to think what our students need to cope with all these changes. This means new curricula, new approaches, new methodologies, and of course, new approaches by universities and polytechnics all over the world. And skill number 2 is systems thinking. So almost all the challenges presented by the effects of COVID-19 relate to systems. So systems thinking is a mindset to think, to communicate and learn about systems, to make the full patterns clearer, improve and share the understanding of problems, and see how to face them effectively. Skill number 3 is anticipation. And the anticipation skill requires us to learn how to recognize these possible futures and to use this augmented consciousness to shape our decisions and actions in the present. So we must prepare ourselves to deal with anticipation, not only in higher education, but also in the whole educational system and in all countries. And skill number 4 is strategic foresight. So this is a big challenge that requires a new strategic thinking attitude for governments, businesses, organizations, and people to better understand change and the future, as we will all living and working in a future world that's different from today in a significant ways. So strategic foresight is absolutely vital for all organizations. So my dear friends, let's now take a look at the 2022 skills profile and what we have learned from this crisis and what we have to move ahead and what we must change, mainly in higher education. So what is growing and what is declining? What is growing? Analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, creativity, originality, initiative, technology design and programming, critical thinking and analysis, complex problem solving, leadership and social influence, emotional intelligence, reasoning, problem solving and ideation, and systems analysis and evaluation. So all this is growing worldwide. And this is, of course, from the same report from the World Economic Forum. What is declining nowadays? So nowadays, manual dexterity, endurance and precision, memory, verbal, auditory and spatial abilities, management of financial material resources, and so on are declining. This does not mean that these skills must be forgotten. No, not at all. What we have to do is to connect with these skills that are declining, but of course, we have to enhance our new skills, our new abilities, and give them to teachers and to our students to cope with this new post-COVID world. So this is a big challenge in universities, in polytechnics worldwide. And I would like to highlight that skills are a key effort for us all, because skills can improve not only teachers' abilities to go ahead with major transformations in our educational systems, but of course skills are vital in order to our students to be excellent professionals, but also to be active citizens in their communities. So if we connect education, technology, and skills and values and principles, I can truly say that we are on track with